just me, or am I the only one, when I'm on YouTube, basically, an ad pops up, and it's Grammarly! So, basically, it goes, do you ever need help with your writing? Well, we got the... No! No! I don't need help! I've gotten through elementary school, okay? And I'm currently in middle school, so yes! Thank you.
One time I was sitting in church and I had to fart. I knew it would be dangerous considering I have a supernatural asshole. I felt it coming and the next thing you know the building starts vibrating and the sprinklers got set off. The roof was starting to cave in and I knew it was coming. All the windows were shattering and the ground was wobbling. I did the most chunky, monkey, funky, stunky, bed bunky, tree trunky, gunky, skunky, sloppy, floppy, moppy, gloppy, mushy, tushy, ooshy gooshy, sushi fart so powerful I needed to get stitches. The walls started to crack and everyone was screaming while hiding under their chairs praying because they thought God was coming down. The danger alarm went off and everyone was calling their family saying they loved them. The roof finally caved in causing more destruction and my whole splitting fart finally stopped. Everyone got out from under the chairs and looked around. There was rubble everywhere and even the brick walls was cracked. They were wondering where God is and I had to act concerned with them. Anyways, my fart made it on the news and was titled as California's most deadliest earthquake. Little did they know it was my ripper ass.
Am I the only one that would show up to school and nothing important would happen? But then you miss one day! One day! And the whole entire math club beats up the football team. Tom Cruise walks through the front door and is like, hey look, I'm gonna pay all your college tuition. The popular girl gets pregnant. The worst teacher in the building gets fired. Everybody that was in English class passes with an A. The principal's like, hey, guess what, teachers? Email. Hand out 400 points worth of extra credit for no reason. And then there was a freaking dinosaur.
Story time that happened in 2nd grade. So my teacher never allowed fidget spinners. And my friend always brought one to school because that was the only thing that helped us focus. But every time she saw it, she would take it. And she would never return it even though she said she was. So me and my friend, I'm going to call her Jalen. And my other friend, I'm going to name her Caitlin. So me, Jalen, and Caitlin all had this plan to sneak into school and take our fidget spinners. So at recess, we had this plan spot behind the tree. And we would all talk about it. This girl even didn't eat her lunch because her teacher took away her fidget spinner. Anyway, we all had this plan to sneak in school and break the windows, go in class and steal all our fidget spinners and give them back to the owners. But every time we talk about it, we'd get caught by this one kid named Nathan, and he would all go tell the teacher. But the teacher didn't care, obviously, because she knew we weren't going to do it. Like for part 2. Okay, part 2 of the fidget spinners. Okay, so as you know, Nathan was going to tell on us, and the teacher obviously didn't believe us because we were little kids and he knew we wouldn't do that. So we all had a plan that the next day we would all meet up at the playground in the school at 6 p.m. So that day, no one showed up. I didn't even show up. And the next day at school, we all got mad at each other for not showing up when we all said we showed up, but you guys didn't. And I didn't show up. My friend didn't show up. None of us showed up. But we just lied about showing up. So we just gave up and we just never did it again because we knew we would never get our fidget spinners. Tell me if you want more.
Story time about how my boyfriend's best friend tried to ruin our relationship. So a little background information. My boyfriend used to be best friends with this one girl. We're gonna call her Jamie. Well, Jamie and my boyfriend were best friends for years. And the friendship was more flirty than anything. Well, him and I got to know each other during track season. So we were always hanging out after school. And sometimes Jamie would be there too. Well, the one night him and I were on FaceTime and we were talking about how we really liked each other. So the next day we started dating. And I was good friends with Jamie too. But then after we started dating, she started acting really weird towards me. Like I would try to say hi whenever I saw her in the hallways. And she would just give me a dirty ass look. So then I told my boyfriend how I thought that she was really mad at me. And he said that he would talk to her. Well, a week before him and I started dating, she told us that there was this guy that she really wanted to ask to prom. And she said that she liked him for a while. Well, then my boyfriend said, apparently a few days ago you were hitting on the boy that she was going to ask to prom. So then I started to connect the dots and I was like, oh shit, like for part 2. Part 2 about how my boyfriend's best friend tried to ruin our relationship. So like I said, I started to connect the dots after that. And then I realized that she was talking about my boyfriend. We're just going to call him Josh. As he's telling me this, I immediately get a FaceTime call from her. So I answer the phone, and she says, well, I think I should just confront the situation now. So the first thing that she says is, you knew I liked Josh. Like, how could you do this to me? I had a poster board and everything. So I'm just like, well, why didn't you tell me that you liked him? And she goes, what the fuck do you mean? Like, you knew. But I was sitting there thinking about the fact that they were best friends for 5 years and nothing ever happened, so it's really not my fault. And then this girl has the nerve to say, I'm pretty sure if you just break up with him now, me and you can get past this and still be friends. So I said no. So then I called my boyfriend, told him that we talked it out, and I didn't even tell him about what she said or anything like that, because I just wanted the situation to be over and done with. So a few weeks after that, she decided to get her brother involved. Her brother and Josh were best friends, by the way. Well, then her brother told Josh that him and I had been hooking up like for part 3 or 2 about my boyfriend's best friend trying to ruin our relationship. So like I said, then she got her brother involved. And her brother and Josh were best friends. A little background information here. Josh had stopped talking to Jamie for those few weeks after she called me that night because she was making things really awkward in our relationship and just giving us a lot of problems. So the one night, Jamie's brother texts Josh and he's like, bro, I think it's mad sus how you cut her off when your girlfriend's the problem. So obviously Josh texted him and said, what do you mean? And her brother was like, she hits me up all the time to hang out. We've been hooking up. I can even send you the nudes that she sent me. And before I started dating Josh, there was this boy that I was talking to for like 6 months and I ended up sending him nudes. And yes, they got around the school. But surprisingly, Josh had no idea about them. So her brother sent Josh the nudes and said, bro, here, like, see her face is in it and everything. Lesson learned, don't put your face in nudes. So then me and 3 other people explained to my boyfriend that those were from a while ago. And after that, he just blocked both of them and we're still together.
Story time about this girl who faked being Latina. So there was this girl who went to my school. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah is the queen of lies. In every subject we talk about, Sarah always, and I mean always, comes up with a lie that has to do with her life. Here's an example. What if we're talking about Tom Holland? She'd just come in and say, oh yeah, Tom Holland is my dad's friend. I met him once. You know, these types of lies. Another one is when she told everyone she's Latina. It was lunchtime in school and we were talking about where we went for the summer. Sarah tells us that she went to Spain and she started telling us on what she did there and says that she's 50% Latina. She also said that she lived in Spain for 6 years. And if there is any person who lived in Spain for 6 years, they must know how to speak Spanish. And then my friend Kayla asked her, what does good morning mean in Spanish? We all know it's buenos dias. And my friend Kayla asked Sarah, what does good morning mean in Spanish? And then Sarah looks at us, looks back at her food and said, I don't know, I'm still taking Spanish lessons. And we just look at her that she doesn't even know what good morning means in Spanish. If she had lived in Spain for 6 years, she would have known what it meant. I don't know how, but that incident has spread around the entire school. Every person that walks past Sarah just says, Buenos dias, basically teasing her about not knowing what good morning means in Spanish. And then Sarah didn't show up to school for 3 days after that. And oh boy, we haven't even gotten to the crazy part. The 3 days pass and Sarah comes back to school. As soon as she walks into the class, everyone's eyes was on her. She came up, sat in her seat, and this lady showed up to school. So after 3 days of Sarah not coming to school, she showed up in a crop top, skinny jeans, fake nails, and fake lashes. And her hair was in a bun with edges. Yes, you heard me, edges. This lady is white. And in lunchtime, she took out a bag of hot Cheetos and some dipping sauce. I don't know if this was supposed to make us think she's Latina, but trust me, it didn't work. All of the freshmen and sophomores took out their phone and started filming her. This is where I kind of felt bad, but she ran to the bathroom crying, and she just stayed there and didn't show up to any classes for the rest of the day. Story time. So there was this one girl in 7th grade, let's call her Lexi. Lexi was a pick-me girl. She was always like, boys are less drama, you know. And Lexi used to sit next to me in class. And I was throwing a Halloween party later this week. I decided to write a list of what we're going to be doing at the party in class while Lexi's sitting next to me. She looks over at my notebook and sees it. And she was like, I'm invited, right? I looked at her and I just didn't say anything because I didn't want to tell her she's not. She got really excited and was like, I'm gonna be wearing a devil costume. Actually, no, I want to be the angel. And at the end of class, she told me to send her the location and information on her Instagram. And I remembered that Lexi had a lot of spam accounts and accounts she doesn't use. So I decided to send her the information on one of the accounts she doesn't use. 2 days later, I got a message from Lexi. She sent me a message from one of her real accounts. Then she told me that I forgot to send her the information for the party. I told her that I did send the location, but on her other account, and that I didn't know she stopped using it. Lexi didn't believe me, so I sent her a screenshot. Then I told her that since she didn't confirm, she can't come to the party because I had a limit of 20 people. Lexi got really mad and started calling me mean stuff, that I'm rude and forgetful. And then Lexi blocked me not just on Instagram, but on Snapchat and TikTok. Of course, I didn't care and just went on with my day. Fast forward to the next day, which was the day of my party. Things were going great. Me and my friends had an amazing time. But after an hour, I get a phone call from a random number. I didn't answer, number one, because the music was too loud and I was too busy with my friends. Maybe 10 to 15 minutes pass, and that number calls me again. I handed my phone to my friend and let her. Here's part 3, sorry it took too long. So I handed my phone to my friend and let her answer the phone. She told me that there was a person waiting for me in front of the house. I, of course, didn't want to go outside alone, so I let my friend Jason come out with me. As soon as we arrived to the front of the house, we see Lexi and her mother sitting next to her in her car. I just stood there in disbelief, not knowing what to do. Lexi got out of the car, looked at me and rolled her eyes, then looked at Jason and started talking to him. She was like, "Hey Jason, do you miss me? Jason, can I come in?" And Jason didn't know what to say, but he said yes. And Lexi had the audacity to show up to my party after she blocked me on all of my social media. Lexi stayed with Jason and Jason's friend. I couldn't enjoy my night anymore after that. The next day in school, I told my teacher the story and she moved my plate.
Story time of how I got the best revenge on my worst enemy. So basically there was this girl that literally copied my absolute every move. It all started because the boy that she was dating tried to hit me up. So I guess she was trying to be more like me, I guess. And it all started when I got a puppy. Literally 2 days later, she ended up getting a puppy. The same kind of puppy. Then about a week goes on and I dye my hair blonde. Well, I bleach it. And she dyes her hair blonde. Okay, then the next day, I posted on my story about this app that I was using. It's called Fitness Coach, and I was getting my dream body from it. Also, the link to that app will be in my bio. But then not even an hour later, she posted that she was using it. Then I just noticed every single little thing that I did, she would also start to copy. She even started literally copying my outfits head to toe. So once I noticed that, I decided I was gonna try something out. And I bought a bald cap from the store. And then I posted on a private story with only her in it. Ha, guess what happened 2 days later? I'm running out of time for part 2. Part 2, if I got the best revenge on my worst enemy. Continuing on with the story, after I got a bald cap and posted on my private story with only her in it, 2 days later she shaves her head. So this is the time where I try to confront the girl, because at this point it's obvious she's trying to copy me. And after I confronted her about her trying to copy me, she then tried to say that I was the one trying to copy her, and then switch up the whole story. But for about months and months she continued to copy me, and now here's where the story gets bad. My puppy ended up passing away due to heart failure, and then of course I posted about it on my Instagram story. And that night I was scrolling through who viewed it, and I see her little fake account, and honestly I didn't think anything of it. It took a little bit, but 5 days later, I see on her story, "My baby will always have a place in my heart, RIP Moxie." Oh, I named my dog Roxy, by the way, and that's the exact thing I put on my story, exact words and everything. I don't know what she did with the dog, and honestly I'm terrified to know, but after that I blocked her on absolutely everything because I came to the conclusion that she is crazy.
So I was so fed up with Jessica's actions that I decided to pull her hair. Best decision I have ever done. Because it turns out her hair was a wig. Yes, her hair was fake, just like her personality. Jessica turned around and looked me in the eye and said, "You're gonna pay for this." And she stormed out of the cafeteria. The next day, she shows up to school and everyone was staring at her. The reason for that is that she showed up in a bun and with a hydro flask, shell necklaces, friendship bracelets, and you name it, all of the Visco girls stuff. Her friends told the whole school about the incident, so you better get rid of those friendship bracelets, Jessica. But since the whole school knew, one of those really hot football players came up to Jessica and told her, you know you're not Charlie D'Amelio.
Is it just me, or am I the only one when I'm on YouTube, basically, an ad pops up and it's Grammarly? So, basically, it goes, do you ever need help with your writing? Well, we got the... No! No! I don't need help! I've gotten through elementary school, okay? And I'm currently in middle school, so yes! Thank you.
Story time. So me and this girl Jessica had a lot of beef together. She would always spread rumors about how I am adopted because I don't look like the rest of my family. And that was not true. But one day, I showed up to school and everyone was just staring at me in a really mean way. It's like I murdered someone. I quickly run to my best friend and ask her what's going on. She then told me that I told Jessica that she was a spoiled brat and that I beat her behind the school. And it turns out that Jessica told the whole grade. Everyone was against me. My first 2 classes passed and it felt like I've been there for a year. Everyone was still staring at me and I just couldn't get anyone to believe me. But I had enough of Jessica. During lunchtime, I went up behind her and pulled her hair as hard as I could. And it turned out Jessica had fake hair. She was using a wig.